morning, Abe.
Hey, good morning, Matt.
So we're here both in our downtown Fullerton office, different rooms, but we're excited to be back. We haven't been here in a while, not to the office, but to the stream, so to Broker Booth. So we're happy to be here, and we're gonna talk about some hopefully some relevant things to people. We're gonna update on the commission lawsuits. Talk a little bit about lag economics of the last year's market, how that's going to affect this year. And then we're kind of back in a multiple offer environment. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. And then just some quick thoughts that we have that we're going to share. And so, so let's jump into the commission lawsuit update and some of the chatter that's been going on the last few weeks. You were mentioning, Abe, you got some letters.
Yeah, it looks like, law offices are now sending mass kind of postcards to anyone and everyone. So maybe every home now in America will get a postcard of some sort trying to get people to participate in a lawsuit against specific brokerages. And so I think I've received one or two by now, I think, just like you would, like any class action lawsuit. In the past, I think I got one recently for like Yelp or something like that too. And so it's starting to happen. It's starting to permeate, I think. And again, there are some people taking advantage maybe of the opportunity given, the class action lawsuit. And so no surprise though. Right. No surprise at all.
No, for sure. Yeah. And I mean, months ago, we were also seeing the Instagram ads. At least I was seeing those where they were the same thing, have you been injured type of thing, right? So, but in this case, have you been paying commissions you shouldn't have type of thing? So I think, speaking of all the lawsuits, one of the one growing steam right now or getting bigger is actually the same plaintiff's attorney that for the Burnett case, like he filed the same exact day, right, as the verdict. So he filed another one. So so it's going to be this environment for a while. But I think the thing that got everybody talking was also the Department of Justice letter. So essentially, one of the cases, the Novelchek case, that was one of the commission lawsuits that had been settled. The Department of Justice wrote a letter, basically, I think it was to the judge of the case that was overseeing the settlement, and basically advised that they didn't like the settlement. They didn't think it went far enough. They thought that if we can still have the practice of offering out commissions, then it's still going to create the same environment, is what the Department of Justice stance was. And so the reason the Department of Justice is kind of so hot after this is because in one of the executive orders from Joe Biden was basically, we were lined out as brokers as far as going after any sort of price fixing, any sort of antitrust violations. That was a big part of this administration's agenda, was to get the Department of Justice to really, or any federal commission, to go after companies that might be violating antitrust. That's why we've seen a lot more deals blocked, like mergers and acquisitions blocked. Some big of the tech companies have had letters written to them warning them of their practices, right? So there's been a lot of that. So we kind of also are in that mix. There's actually a line item in that executive order that talks about real estate brokerages and brokers. So that's where the Department of Justice is getting their sort of orders from, is to really take a look at how they can bring the price of selling homes down, and the commissions obviously being chief among those, and if brokers are price fixing. So I think that's where the Department of Justice, that's what got everybody scared, was basically saying, hey, we're no longer going to even be able to offer out commissions if the Department of Justice gets their way. So that's where people are getting nervous. But whether or not they go that far, that's not been done yet, right? But it was just this one letter that got everybody very scared, saying this is what the Department of Justice's end goal is. So I think that brought out NAR's president to say, hey, these lawsuits aren't really the big deal. It's the Department of Justice. It's the big deal, as far as if, that's going to have the final say potentially. And, we've talked about this. We're not worried about that. We know how to adapt and adjust. And we know that the truth kind of economics play out as far as the real, that it's better for buyers and sellers to have a representative. It's good for them to have strong representation, and it's just about being able to articulate on the buyer side your value and as well as the seller side, and things will fall into place to make that world work better together. So we're not concerned about that, but I think that's what the chatter's been about. I just wanted to kind of give that update. That's where kind of all the concern has come from in this last few weeks.
Yeah, and I could definitely understand the DOJ's like stance on it, given that the ruling was made and it ruled the way they ruled. That maybe just settling out doesn't really change anything. In terms of like what the purpose of the lawsuit was. So I totally understand that. And then, yeah, like I don't feel any extra anxiety from it at all. I hope none of you guys as well feel it. I think there'll be maybe some moving parts in the future, some things that change contractually, but we've talked about free market dynamics and still, value given to those who are valuable and being able to earn your commission, even as a buyer's agent, and there's still being ways to collect that, right? So yeah, but I think it'd be interesting to see what happens here and what they rule or what kind of rules they put into place. And yeah, we'll be ready for it though. We're staying on top of it.
Yeah, and like we said before, I've mentioned in the past, and we talked about this, where that last mile kind of philosophy that a lot of realtors have put themselves in with, like using online lead sources, right? Where they're just basically some other companies nurturing that relationship along, and then when it comes time to just show the property and then maybe write an offer, that's when the agent steps in. And there's no real relationship there. There's no real communication that's been had at all to talk about why you should work with me, the value I bring in this situation, a real understanding of those buyers' wants and needs and what their hopes and dreams are for real estate, right? There's none of that. It's just like, hey, open the door, and an hour later we're writing an offer. Those business models, I always said they're at the mercy of whoever's giving them those leads, because they're just kind of at the last mile, kind of like, like Amazon. We saw like sometimes people went out of business because Amazon changed their policy and they built a whole business just delivering Amazon products, right? So they're really at the mercy of Amazon for that last mile. Same thing to these agents. And now it's even worse, because now I don't know how, if they can't get a promised commission and in 1 hour of meeting the people at the front door and then writing an offer, they've got to say, hey, by the way, you're going to pay me $25,000 for me showing up on a Tuesday afternoon at 4, yeah, and that's going to be a hard to sell in a sense. So I think it's just going to make the agents who really work through, sorry, go ahead. Yeah, the agents who work by referral and bring value are the ones who are going to win out in this environment. They have real trust among their clients.
100%. And again, I think we've been talking to our agents about this, but to not just focus then on buyers. Let's put that aside for now, and then really think through how we can get more listings. And we said this in the training, right? You can make a good living, make several hundreds of thousands being, a buyer's agent and, occasional listing agent, right? You can kind of do well, but you'll be running around maybe a lot of different counties, sometimes different parts of the state, trying to get a deal done. But the people that really find themselves in the multi-million-dollar GCI kind of category are the ones who like really pick some areas and farm or create a niche for themselves geographically even. And so that's kind of still our call for all our agents, that, hey, consider that if you're not doing that already. And then let's see how this buyer's kind of a commission works out. But there is something you can control, and it's to go after more listings. I mean, again, not saying that we're not going to work with buyers ever, but let's also focus our attention on things that we can control and go out there and get more listings.
Yeah. And I didn't say, like, as far as that goes, I mean, working through referral though too is also even more relevant now, but trying to build referral databases within a community, right? So try to really bring it to where you have a social, network that's geographically kind of centered as well, right? Like get out into the community, build relationships, get out into groups and try to, that's why some people have a really great advantage when they are in the community for like either church or schools or any other kind of activity involvement, because you do also tend to get referrals that are geographically close, and you can then build off of that to get more geographically based business, right? And that just builds on itself. You mentioned something the other day about, I forget what we were talking about, but you said something like, playing in a band versus like an orchestra, and and so, the more your business can be like an orchestra, of having more complexity, but more like things working together to help you, right? Like, so more things working in concert together, right? And so having local relationships, having a local geographic area that's you're niched into, and let those compound on each other, is really, that's the what. The how, you have to figure out what's, your brand, who you are, how you do that. But that's the what you should be focused on, right? Is building strong relationships and building brand equity in an area, so that way it builds on itself, so you're not scattered everywhere.
Yeah, we talked about this, Matt. I think you mentioned this in a training recently too. And think about who, right? Like who are the people right now in the market thinking of selling or buying, right? On the listing side, people say it different ways, right? Like the 5 or 7 Ds or whatever it is,
Right, right.
diamonds, divorce, death, blah, blah, and so on.
Diapers,
Um,
yeah. Diplomas,
Diapers. Yeah, and we heard something more recently at a conference that, again, it just sounds so like commonsensical, but really the people that are selling right now and the people who are sitting on the most equity right now too are the baby boomer generation, right? Those who are now looking at retirement, if not retired already, maybe thinking about downsizing. They have the ability to buy and sell really and make that arbitrage work right now for them because their lifestyles are changing and they're shifting.
right.
So what are you doing as an agent to provide value to those people? I remember I went into a listing appointment years ago, and it was like my first like big listing appointment. It was going to be maybe a $4 million listing in the Orange County area, and I remember I went in just really prepared with my comps and stuff like that, and walking in, spending maybe an hour and a half with the seller, and at the end of it, feeling pretty confident because she had lined up every 30 minutes, listing agents to come check out their house and give their opinion and value and their spiel, right? And so I felt great. I saw like 3 teams waiting outside, just kind of a crowd of people waiting outside. And so I just kind of walked out of there feeling pretty good, like I probably got this. And got a call from her later that night saying that, hey, loved you, want to work with you, but we're going with someone else. And I was like, oh man, like what, what was the deciding factor here? And she told me that, hey, actually, they came with a contractor, a termite person, and their whole team of agents. And that house was a little older, right? So to get it up to snuff, to sell at the highest price, it was going to need some renovation work. And it felt like those guys had anticipated that, brought the right people, gave quotes on the spot on what needs to be done, how much it's going to cost her, and they were ready to move on it right away. And so, unfortunately, no matter how much she liked the conversation, how much time we spent, and impression I made, that drove her decision to then go with that listing agent. And so it was a huge learning lesson. And again, you touched on this in our last training that, hey, maybe if there's people retiring and they're dealing with a whole lot of stuff in their house that they need to like work through, right, and declutter and maybe donate and whatnot, are you as an agent ready to provide them some really easy ways to do all that stuff and give them value that way? And so those are the things I still feel like we need to focus on and think about. Forget all the latest gimmicks. Don't worry about, at least for now, let us think for you how you're going to be able to earn and retain, buyer's commission. But really think about how you can be connecting and bringing value to clients out there.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I was thinking this week, as far as a lot of times people want to be sort of, and I don't put this down, and there's nothing wrong with thinking about yourself in these ways, but they think they're salespeople, they think they're marketing people, they think they're entrepreneurs, They think they're, designers, right? Like whatever it is. But the truth is, we're realtors, right? Real estate agents, real estate professionals, and all those parts are part of it: sales, marketing, design, right? Negotiation. Some people think they're strong negotiators, but your identity really needs to be holistic, right? Like I'm a realtor. Like what I specialize in, right, is helping people buy and sell real estate with processes that'll maximize like their goals, right? Like whether their goal is to net as much money as possible, whether it's to sell it really quickly without any pain at all, just like get it done, right? Whether it's, to help them buy a home that they're going to live in for the next 30 years or buy a home they're going to live in for this 3 to 5 years, whatever their goals are, like our job is just to figure out how to maximize that. And whatever it takes to do that, right? If it's great marketing, great sales, great communication, negotiation, those are all part of it. But I find that people sometimes just have a hard time identifying, like, I'm a real estate agent, I'm a realtor. It's like not enough. They want to be something sexier in some way, which I don't know. I mean, to a lot of people out there, they think that it's a pretty. Someone was telling me the other day that she met somebody and they said, "Oh, you're a real estate agent. You must be, you're rich, right?" I mean, the perception of us is that we're all the ones selling Sunset or on those shows, right? Um, and everybody's, has a lot of money. So I think it's a great career to have from a, I don't know, I know there's some people that have a bad taste in their mouth from salespeople in general, whatever it is, right? And so if they think of us as salespeople, then they might not like us. But I think that from a standpoint of societally, I think it's not a bad thing to be, right? And then second, I think it's a noble profession as far as when you know what it really entails. Like the fact that we're helping people with transaction they do one, two, three times maybe the average person at the most in their lives, and it is one of the most significant contributors to their life outcomes, right? Like to if they have children, like where those kids go to school and who their friends are, and kind of like their whole sense of their existence is in that home, in that neighborhood, right? So I mean, there's a lot that comes with buying and selling houses, and I think it's like the agents who really, I think, take that really seriously, I think, are the ones who are going to win out in the next year, because like you said, that's a real pro move to bring all those people there anticipating that. I remember going to sales trainings where they're like, "Hey, don't waste your time even getting ready for a listing presentation. Go there and just like qualify them and just like show them your 100-point marketing system and dazzle them," right? And it's like, no, I've always said, like, I do homework. I show up showing them I did my homework, and those people took it to another level. They did their homework and realized they needed to bring, the whole crew in with showing like we've got everybody here for you. And I think that's a great move. And it worked, right? But I do think it's taking this profession seriously, not needing it to be anything else. It's in itself, it's enough what it is. You're a real estate pro. This is what you do, and you love it. You're passionate about it, and you're good at it. We've talked about this ad nauseum, right?
Yeah.
But the point is, it's the truth, and that's why I think these commission lawsuits shouldn't scare any professional. It should just maybe make some people who have been kind of maybe getting paid as a buyer's agent a little bit easily, you know, um,
Totally.
going to Cabo every weekend, instead of making money hand over fist with online leads, and stuff. I think I think we always know that's kind of, maybe economics plays out. Like if it's too easy money, it's going to come to an end.
100%. Yeah. And, like to switch gears a little bit, Matt, we just
Yeah.
had our Circa Awards dinner, a week ago. And I think the feeling I walked away with that night was just so grateful and proud that, we were
Absolutely.
amongst an agent group of people that really take this seriously and have worked really hard in a really down market and have found a lot of success in the market. And so it was really nice to be able to celebrate that and highlight some of our agents who have done that. So yeah, this stuff works, which is which again, the proof is in the pudding always, right? And so this stuff works, and
Yeah.
it's just so proud of our office and the individual and team contributors that have done really good business, and it's really shined through kind of in this tough time. Yeah, and it's not that way for all the brokerages, and we're really fortunate in some ways to have prepared earlier than when the market got slower. And I know some people had questions about what we were doing and what kind of our outlook was and things. And I know we've even got feedback that, hey, don't don't be so negative about what's coming, right? And we wrestled with that. We're like, hey, we don't want to be negative, we do want to prepare ourselves and prepare our agents for what we think might be coming, and we think that's a wise move, always. And so, luckily, when we started the company, just a few months into it, we started to prepare ourselves for potentially what we thought may come, and just be ready for it and poised, though, to take it on, and thrive in it still. And so, but not we're hearing more and more that not every brokerage is doing so well, and it's sad for us to hear. So yeah, but this week, these last 2 weeks or so, we've been hearing a lot.
Yeah, well, and I think that's where, the lag aspect of economics, right? Like things don't, like even, people, if you listen to someone who talks about like when interest rates start to come down, the Fed lowers rates, a lot of time there's a lag effect that still goes on, that it doesn't just like the economy just doesn't boom back. A lot of time there's actually recession after that starts, because they're seeing economic indicators that they need to do, because low interest rates is quantitative easing, right? It's to help the economy. Right now they've been trying to, slow the economy, cool the economy. So once they start to do that, there's a good chance there's actually economic conditions that lag behind that actually the economy gets worse after they start lowering interest rates. And so, again, not to be pessimistic, because I don't think that affects us as real estate agents. It's going to affect the overall economy somewhat. But the point is, I think what you're saying is that we kind of saw early. We didn't have this kind of hope, like, hey, maybe rates will come down any minute now, or hey, we thought, no, we need to prepare, because we know that even if rates do change, there's going to be some lag results of this environment. And so we made decisions, and I credit you. I mean, you were right on there, and I agreed with that aspect, but I think we took pretty decisive action to do some things that weren't necessarily exciting growth type things, right? We downsized a little bit of the office. We made some, personnel changes, the beginning back there of 2022, and was not easy decisions to make, especially when you're starting a new company and saying, hey, we're growing. But at the same time, that lag effect of us taking that decisive action then has now positioned us really well relative to, we think, a lot of people, because we've been able to profit in 2023, and I'm even more optimistic for 2024. And I don't know if that's the case for a lot of people. And I'm not not trying to toot our own horns, or like pat us on the back, but I do think that it's just for agents to understand, like you feel lag results of things that happen, and always anticipate and think about those things. And so I think that even though we're gonna, I think, have a better year home sales wise, more homes are gonna sell in 2024. I think a lot of agents are still feeling the lag from 2023, and we need to be still resilient through this year, and what's to come. But I think we're going to see that in the commercial, right? We talked about the commercial area, right?
Yeah.
A lot of lag probably results from the work from home and COVID and that sort of thing also coming.
Some of those effects, and then some effects from, like loan deferrals or kind of bank workouts and some of the commercial loans. And so there's still a lot of headwind out there, and I think that a lot of people have predictions about, a recession and the timing of that. And I was just watching Jerome Powell. I think he did a 60-minute interview, and he was really, really careful what he said, and he was wordsmithing on, as he was going, because I think, the interviewer kept asking him, so like, when are you going to lower rates? What's the effects of that going to be? What are the indicators you're looking at now that will give you, the kind of green light to do that, and whatnot? And he kind of nicely answered, but evaded the questions, and didn't give, like a full, like, okay, here's what it is, right? Look out for this. And so, but I think you're right, Matt. Overall, they're looking to slow down the economy and cool it, and control inflation. And so who knows what's going to happen? I think we're all pretty optimistic that this year is going to be a better one than last year. And we feel that. And, the truth though is it won't be for some, it will be for some, right? And those, again, who press hard and work hard and find kind of new ways to do business, and even elevate themselves and provide new services. That is a huge part of the success factor, right? You can only control what you can control. The other thought I had was, Matt, when we were talking about all those things at our brokerage, you know, we do live in a society right now where perception is truth, right?
Hmm.
Even though sometimes the perception could be so far from the truth, and we see that in so many ways, especially in the social media kind of world we live in right now, where um, you can be an agent
Right.
who's sold, you know, 2 houses in the last 4 years and go out there and talk about, you know, how you have like the keys to getting into the luxury market, let's say, or something like that. And you have a course that sells for $999, or, you know, get 90 listings in 90 days, like those type of things.
Right.
These are like real, real like seminars and real
Right.
classes being offered. Right. And so I remember we kind of wrestle with that internally, even like, man, we know what we have to do. But we also care that, you know, for our agent's sake, that they don't feel like we're gutting something, or like we're just like a tin can brokerage or something like that, right? And so
Right. Right.
it was kind of tough to navigate that. You know, I feel like we did that really well together, and there, we had to make some real business decisions at the end of the day that would set us up for the future. And so I'm really proud of what we did, you know, together, and where we're at now. And unfortunately, yeah, we are getting calls from different places in the last few weeks about potential, like, you know, acquisitions and mergers and things like that. And so this has kind
Right.
of become like a somewhat like sad time, because you never want to see other people in the industry like kind of get to a place where some of their options are limited and whatnot. But also an exciting time for us, because then we can partner and find ways to work together with you know, brokers and agents in our area, who might be affected by that. And so I'm really excited. I feel like the next year for us is going to be a really good growth year. And again, it's not promised or guaranteed, but I think we still have to do the right things that you know, bring true value to what we do. And again, find those agents and teams that bring true value to their clients, and see if there's a good fit there. So, but super exciting. I mean,
Yeah.
there's been so many calls already.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah. 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 And just, yeah, I'm got a ton of gratitude for just like the decisions we made, and the, you and I were able to come to together. And I think that's where, where I try to keep our the people we have influence over their heads at is like, look, you can never, set your mindset for whether the market's going to be good or bad, right? Because if you do that, you're just going to ride it. You're just going to just go up and down with the wave, right? You've got to learn to say, hey, I can surf any wave, and enjoy myself and have a good time. And yeah, sometimes it's going to be harder and it's going to be more challenging. But we have to be up for that all times. And I think that's where, when we know there's opportunity, we don't wish failure in anybody, but we do know that people will fail in environments and in an economic sense that can benefit the people who don't fail, because there's more market share to go around for everybody that's left, right? And that's not like we're hoping for people to fail. And I don't think anyone should think that way, but I think it's just, I did hear an agent say the other day, like, yeah, a lot of people are going to be out of the industry. Good for us. I said, well, it's good for somebody, right? It's not good for everybody, because some people, you might be one of those, or you might just be one that just kind of stays the same. But there's opportunity for those people who keep their mindset strong, resilient, and work really hard, and double down their efforts in a lot of different ways. Like you said, just in building their own personal skill sets and mindsets. There's a lot of opportunity for them, because they will be the recipients or the beneficiaries of more market share to be distributed to less people. But I think that's where it really comes in, like not trying to forecast or guess at where things are going, but to try to, be like just sober in your estimation of like not trying to get too excited about like, hey, the market's coming back, or not try to get too down about the market going back. Say, hey, I'm just going to still do what I do and work hard, and you'll be rewarded. And I think like you were saying, like the new ways to get business. I think it's also just I've talked to agents that have taken their foot off the gas pedal. I don't know if you remember, like one of our first episodes, we talked about keeping your foot on the gas pedal at all times, and we were talking about a little bit different context of like, if you are going to go flip houses as a realtor, like, hey, go flip houses, but keep your gas foot on the gas in your bread and butter of the real estate business itself. Like you can do that, and you don't have to give up one for the other, because you never, in my opinion, you never give up your main source of income. You always keep that, because that's the quick way to be a little bit rudderless at some point if things don't go well for you in a new venture, right? So the point is, I think right now, keeping your gas on, doing the activity, don't pare down, don't like do whatever you can, like cut other spending, but don't cut the spending on the bare things, like still grab coffee with people, go grab lunch, go, get out there and be face to face with people. Don't cut back on that activity. That's a mistake, because again, that lag results. You feel that later on. You might not feel it now, but you're going to feel that 6-9 months, the drop off in your business if you're not doing those activities now and getting out there with people and so. But I think that's where.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's still kind of a crazy environment though, too, Matt. We've been hearing this a lot from our agents, that I think I saw something on Instagram that like a listing agent had advertised. I don't think it was our agent, but advertised that they're now up to 40 offers, on their listing.
Oh yeah, I saw that on Instagram too. Someone had screenshotted that. Yeah.
Yeah, which is nuts. And I recently had an experience for a family office that I work with that put an offer for their daughter, and again, just they weren't going to get it. There was too many offers, too high a price. So it's insane. It's a little insane, and it's like, oh man, is how long is this sustainable? Really, and what do we do here? To try to win.
So I say this last week, I talked to at least 5 agents that were on the listing side in our company, and all 5 of them involved, when we're talking about deal points, because they were asking different questions about various things, all 5 involved removing appraisal contingency. And a couple of them were trying to find the language of how to say they're going to bring in the amount of money over the price, that language. And so I helped them with that language. But all way over asking, no way is giving up raise. We're back there. I mean, we knew at the beginning of the year, we saw that, right? Some multiple offers raising price, but people were still keeping their appraisal because that wasn't something that was deemed necessary. But now we're back at that again. And so anyhow, so that being said, yeah, the multiple offer environment, I think it's, we're back to let's refresh on some skill sets for that, right? And one of the things I talked to you about this morning was aligning with people based on their personality type, right? And this is kind of old school, something we trained back in the days, but I think it's still like a shortcut. It's not like, I'm not going to get all psychological, but it's a shortcut for thinking about communication styles. And so there's 4 categories of communication styles that are broad, and it's amiable, analytical, driver, and expressive. And we know there's things like the DISC test or the other tests we've done, but Briggs Myers. But the point is, this one's a very simple one that everybody can kind of wrap their head around and make kind of quick shortcuts. And I think that if you have an agent who exhibits one of these things, you want to try to communicate with their style of communication when you're writing the offer, because most agents want to think that escrows are going to be smooth. And so not that they're going to choose an offer based on the agent, but if all things being equal and all things being in a multiple offer situation, it's like most of the time when you get multiple offers, you're going to get the price, right? It's not the price that matters. It's the terms. It's the strength of the qualifications. Sometimes it's the motivation, which I think is a huge one. Like, why do these people want this home? Are they writing offers on 5 different homes and seeing which one sticks? And so that means we're in escrow, and a week later they find another house, they're going to leave, and go, oh, that one's better, just all the different factors. But I do think that the agents, how they present themselves, it's just human nature. We give an advantage to our clients when we align well with the listing agents. So just as far as personality types, you've got the amiable, who doesn't like confrontation, who wants things just to be nice, right? They're the peacekeeper. They want to be liked, and they want to like people. So it's very simple, amiable, right person. You've got the analytical, who really just wants the facts and likes to really look at things from different angles. They're going to take a little longer to make decisions. They sometimes are indecisive because they can see both sides of things a lot, because they're very analytical. They think a lot about things, and they need time. And they also are they're going to be slower in how they do things. Then you've got the driver, who's like the kind of alpha person, right? Just like, hey, just get it done. I don't have time for this. Just give me the top level facts, and I trust your decision. Let's just do this. Let's just move, right? And they want good people around them, because they don't want to have to get involved in they want good people, and they want to make a quick decision if you're a good person or not. Like, you're good at what you do, and then if you are, you're in, and leave me alone. Just give me what I need to know and do your job, right? That's a driver mentality. And then the last one is the expressive, and the expressive one is going to be the one that's huge, big personality, you know, signals a lot with their expression, but doesn't really say as much, right? It's not a substance. So obviously you can kind of, those people that are very extroverted, they use their hands, their body, like I'm doing right now. But the point is like more expressive, just, they're huggers, they're loud, they're in your face, they're, you hear them across the room at a party, right? They're more expressive people. And all these people, not that they think a lot differently all the time, but the way they like to take in information and communicate information and interact with people, that's their comfort level. That's their comfort zone. A lot of people can adapt different on people. Like we have to adapt, but the point is that's their comfort zone. So taking that into effect is really important when you're aligning with a listing agent. If you've got a listing agent, you can tell is very amiable and very nice and just, if you're very kind and nice and you look like you're not going to ever cause confrontation for them, they're going to feel very comfortable with you. And again, that's going to really help you to align with them. If you come off to that person like you're being difficult anyway, or you're being kind of aggressive, like too expressive and driverish, because driver expressives are like the scariest people to nail, because you're like you're aggressive, you're harsh, and you're expressive in that. So you're like really intense for those people, and those people to an amiable analytical person are like scary. Like I don't want to even take your call when you're calling, because you're overbearing to me. I feel like I can't fight back. You know what I mean? Like, cause I want things to be nice, so that's why those are tough things. So taking all into account, just do some research. I don't have time to get the whole class on this, but do some research on that. Just really think about that. I get advice agents and aligning with agents, because I get sometimes people who don't seem to pick up on my way of communicating, and I'm like, it's a little abrasive. It's a little bit, and it's fine. I'm not worried about that. But it's like I'm surprised that they're pros and they don't know how to like communicate with me, and I think that's where pros know how to like adapt themselves. If it's an analytical person, you need to let them read the whole contract, and you need to sit there patiently and not try to give them bullet points or smooth over answers with like quick, like, oh no, don't worry about that. That's just boilerplate. It's like, no. If it's there for a reason, an analytical person says, no, it's there for a reason. I want to know what reason it's there for, and I want to read it, But a driver might be like, yeah, I got it. I understand this, because the driver thinks like, I get it. Let me sign, let me get it done. So it's just, you have to know who you're dealing with and adapt. And so I think with clients it helps, but I think it really helps in this multiple offer situation, because being on the listing side of things, sometimes I'm very surprised at how little that other agent is trying to show me that they're going to be great to work with, because it does trickle down to the client. Problem solving with someone you don't get along with or that's difficult to work with causes problems for our clients, right? So I said a lot there. So what do you think, Abe? What's your thoughts on that?
I think it's spot on. I think in a nutshell, it's like, hey, read the room. We live in kind of a society that's like, no, just do you, right? Be loud, do you, be loud and proud. It's a very like me centric kind of society we live in and culture we live in. And I think what you're saying in a nutshell is like, hey, think about the other person for a sec, right? And what's going to be effective to like communicate in terms of communicating, right? And this is the value you're also bringing for your client, right? And so, and I don't want people to misunderstand what I'm saying right now. Is no, do you for sure, like be you, be proud of who you are, but have enough tact and professionalism to know sometimes you got to adapt and you got to like read the room. And you got to read a situation and do what's appropriate for that situation, for that person, right? I think is what you're saying.
Well, that's exactly it. You said about the brand. I mean, when you're trying to build your brand, when you're trying to attract your tribe, be you. So because hey, if you're expressive and you're out there, you're going to attract other expressive potentially, and then you guys are good. But when you work in real estate and you have to work with someone you don't know, or it's someone that's not your tribe, you've got to adapt to their way. Yeah, exactly. So like be you when it comes to your brand, who you are as a person, be authentic. But when you're dealing in business, we don't have a choice of who we're dealing with. And we're being forced. And so that's when you have to find a common ground, and it's better to lead with that and adapt to their style than to force them to adapt to yours. And let's say, basically, right now we're in a position when you're at a disadvantage if you're on the buyer side, because you're competing against 40 other people in that one case, right? So the person who stands out to that agent, it's just you need to do everything you can to put your offer to the top of the stack in their minds. And one of the best ways is to get really in good with the listing agent. That's just the bottom line. And so and you'll do a service to your clients. But yeah, absolutely, read the room and be aware. Something we should all learn in life is how to know when we're kind of out of step with the room, right? But it's it's a new you get to levels of that expertise, and I think it's just something you always work on and get better at, for sure.
It works wonders in real estate and transactions, but it does work wonders in life. And if you're a person right now that's thinking, well, that's not me, I do that well, chances are it's you. You got to work on that. It's
right.
It's always funny that way. And so, but yeah, like one of those, like just human things that can really help. But I love that the categorization of that and really be able to think through that and understand that. Of course, people are nuanced, but I think those 4 categories are really great ones to think about. And I see that in listings sometimes, right? You see in the private remarks, don't call me, just put in your offer. I'm not going to answer calls and give you any price suggestions. They put those things because maybe they're already signaling to you that they're more analytical or they're more driver type people, right? So maybe don't call them. maybe honor that to some degree. And maybe that helps put your offer up, because you follow the directions well, and that's what they really care about. So
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, following directions. I mean, analytical cares that you read everything on the MLS and you did it exactly like they said. And when you see that, if I see someone that does that, like, hey, the dog is here, this is that, please turn out the lights, and it's all these instructions, then what I do is I send them a long text saying, hey, I did this, I did this, I did this. I was, I'm with you. I did everything you asked to do, and it's like that wins them over because you're speaking their business love language, so to speak, right? Their style. So
100%.
So on the flip side,
on the flip side, like how many times have you listed a property where the offer comes in incomplete, or the things that you had asked for in the private remarks is not even there, right? The signatures are done wrong, like all kinds of stuff, right? That just signals to the listing agent, I don't know if this is going to be a good ride that we would get into, right? So just do a good job, be good, be professional, follow directions.
Yeah,
man, this just sounds like stuff I talk to my 4-year-old about, to be honest, right? But it's sometimes stuff we lose sight of because we get busy, maybe, or we think we know what we're doing and whatnot,
or we don't prioritize
it themselves.
Yeah, sorry, we don't prioritize it sometimes. Some people don't care about that stuff, right? Like for a long time, like I'll give you an example for me, right? Like, I don't know if it's a symptom of ADD, but whatever. I used to, and I still do sometimes, but have a hard time being on time for something, right? And to me, it doesn't make sense why someone gets so upset about it. But I know people do, and I understand it. I respect it. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm saying because it's wasting their time. We're waiting for you. I get that. But to me, I don't really care when someone else is late, right? It's not what I care about. But that doesn't mean I should dismiss it for other people. And I think that's sometimes what again, too much about yourself. I know that it's important to be on time. And especially if it's an important meeting where I want to make sure things go perfectly, I can really mess it up by not being on time, right? And so I think that's where, that's just an example where I know that even I have fallen short in my life is like to not think about how other people, that's a big deal to them. Like that's really important. And I think that comes just from maybe a deep psychological thing for me of like that whole doing what you're told, like my problem with authority as a kid, like writing class, like being there on time. It's like, I know this stuff, you know what I mean? So it's these things come from us. And we got to be aware of those kind of biases and things we have where we don't care about that, right? And like putting an offer together in one package, the agent, people like that. Some people are like, it doesn't matter, just get it out there to them. It's like, no. Put it in one PDF for them because it's like save them time, show them you care about them, not just about yourself. But anyway, there's so many things out there. And that's why I'll say this one tip. I'll say this. It should be every agent's goal to write an offer that nothing has to be countered except maybe the price, because the price gets driven up. But you should know the terms they want. If they want a ramp back, if they want like to, keep the chandelier, whatever it is, right? Like you have to like write it to where they almost don't have to even give you a counter, right? And that should always be the goal. Like if you can write it that clean, right, that perfect for what they need, that should always be the goal. And to give them everything they need, all the stuff they ask for, pre-approval, all the different stuff they ask for, just in a nice, clean, neat package. I promise you that'll get you at least to the top 10% of offers. If there's 40 offers, as long as your buyers are qualified, building the right because you're going to be in the top 10% just because of that. Because I've seen offers and they're not presented that way.
That's right.
Thoughtfully and thinking about this. So, but I think that's the important thing is the multiple offer thing is just to think about all those little details and be really, because that's the market we're in right now, and your buyers are going to be competing right now. So
It's the only way to get
yeah,
them in. You got to be excellent. You got to do everything right now to make sure that your clients have the best opportunity to get accepted.
yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah,
couldn't agree more. There's something else going on right now, Matt, that
yeah. Let's some quick thoughts here. Go ahead.
quick
Hit us with
thoughts,
it, Dave.
right? Well, one, we talked about this a little bit, and maybe we didn't touch on it on the lag effects. But in real estate, I get asked this a lot, right? What's the biggest opportunity right now? What's the play,
Yeah.
right? That's kind of like a lot of the conversation, and it's funny. Sometimes the play is the opposite of what the mass public is doing, right? So right now, still a lot of people are trying to buy homes, right? We have a supply issue here. But there is like a soft part in the market, I would say, and it's on the commercial side really. And we see it specifically with offices, especially in downtown metro areas, that there's been a huge hit, right? We talk about San Francisco or downtown LA. I was just talking to someone yesterday about their listing in downtown LA. And then also just a friend of mine who knows of a listing in downtown LA that their friend is selling and just can't get any traction on it, right? So it feels like, ooh, yeah, maybe I shouldn't buy in downtown LA. Maybe I should stay away from that, or San Francisco right now. But maybe the opportunity is to go in there and see if we can, make a play specifically with offices. So yeah, and then the other thing that's hot right now, you could see it like right here, on my screen, is that Bitcoin has hit an all-time high, and it's going to the moon, so to speak. It feels like, right? And so even just this past week, I've gotten a lot of people saying, "Hey, Bitcoin, should we buy it? What do you think?" Like, I'm like, I don't know. What do you think? But everyone and their moms is thinking about buying it right now just because it keeps hitting these highs. And then months from now, you have same conversation with these people because they bought it from the last all-time high, and they're just like, "Oh man, like, why is it dropping?
Right.
What's happening here? Am I going to be okay?" So, Bitcoin, it's amazing that it's hitting that all-time high, and if some of you guys are into it, congratulations. And
Yeah.
but what's the play here? I don't know, but I think some of the bigger guys have definitely maybe sold off a little bit. I keep seeing articles of some of the big players selling off a little bit and capturing some of the value. But I'm also hearing a lot of people, including, people in my mom's friend group, who are in like the 70s now and almost nearing 80, talking about Bitcoin and things like that again. And I remember when this happened, what was it, like Thanksgiving-ish, 2021, right? When it went kind of bonkers there too. And so I don't know, but I think there's a lot of people that make a lot of money and find really good niches when they do things a little bit contrarian to what the public is doing or what the market is doing. And so I don't know. I think
Are you saying short Bitcoin is what you're saying?
Okay. I will say no. I'll say no to that. Because I'll give you my honest belief to some degree here, and my hope here, because no one's got a crystal ball. I don't have one. Matt, we've talked about this. We're not in that business, right, of prediction and whatnot. But am I excited about this year? Absolutely. It's a happening year, right? And so we'll see what happens with the price. And I think maybe some of the rise that's happening is a compounded effect. But if you look at years past when there's been a halving event, that Bitcoin price has risen up, right? And so, I think maybe there's a little bit more to go. But if you've seen some value and you want to capture it, yeah, maybe it's a good time to sell a little off and capture the value. It's not a bad play, but there is no more, I think, like get rich quick type stuff, right? And I hear that in real estate too. It's like, what's the play? For a while it was this Airbnb thing and rental arbitrage and stuff. I know some of that's still strong, but the market got flooded, right? So people bought homes at high prices and can't get the rents that they need to sustain that. And so we've already seen some of that that kind of wash out, right? And same with Bitcoin or any other assets. It's almost like herd mentality and herd craze, right?
Yeah.
So my only thought there is, hey, maybe you think to go a little opposite of what the crowd is doing or everyone is doing right now, and think that way, and also think like not like get rich quick now, and I think when I was
Right.
younger, even I was like, man, I'm so excited to like make a lot of money. Like, what do I got to do to get the most right now, right? And honestly, it's
Yeah.
kind of led me down bad decision paths, right? Versus thinking, hey, how do I accumulate it and secure it and make sure that it's reliable over years and years and years. And I think maybe that is the mentality that we would give to people now is, hey, don't think about what you can do in the next year, so just get rich quick and make some money. But what is the like 5, 10, 20-year outlook that you want to have that really then secures you, and this, drives your decisions to think long term and think more securely. And so that's a
Yeah.
quick thought.
Yeah. No, I mean, yeah, I think building your income, maximize your income ability, your income potential is so important to maximize, right? And all within, I believe, like a value system. So I mean, I think, you have to value and prioritize the important things in your life. You have family, friends, things like that, and make sure you also stick to your ethical values in how you do business. But to maximize your income however you can, and then build wealth uh, in a responsible way, right? Like in a way that's not like, yeah, like kind of like playing the casino. If it's the stock market, crypto, whatever, it's like, hey, yes, some people hit it big, but like they hit it big because other people are losing just as big, right? You can't, like, someone has to lose that investment for the other person to make it, right? Not everybody wins. It's a zero sum game in a sense, and so I, I I've been a big believer in crypto as far as it's here to stay. We both are, but I think it's also, yeah, like trying to time it is dangerous, right? And then to kind of when everybody's hyping it is always a little dangerous too. But that's the thing that gets you though. Sometimes when it's in that hype cycle, it still has a ways to go, right? It still has a way, like the old story is, right, the guy who's right for the Great Depression getting his shoes shined, and the person shining his shoes gave him a stock tip, and he knew right there to sell everything, right? Because it was kind of
Right.
like everybody's buying right now, get out, right? So there's some of that thought in people's heads too sometimes. Like that's why some of those bigger investors go, hey, this is good enough. Like, we don't know when the top's going to be, but we know that right after it's at that top, it goes down pretty quick sometimes, so let's just get out where it's safe, right? Who knows? Again, no crystal ball here for sure. But I do think you're right. Like predictive things like the happening and things like that are pretty strong in its favor right now, especially with the ETF, right? The spot ETF that everybody can buy into Bitcoin now much easier. Because before you had to get like a wallet and it was complicated, and how do I do this?
Right.
Now it's like everybody can invest in it, so that's huge.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think we're reading close. Anything else? Any more thoughts on that though? You have a lot more thoughts on that, but I don't know if you want to
No,
share them
just
now.
congratulations to everyone who's participating in Bitcoin and
Yeah.
finding success
Yes.
in there, in crypto in general.
Absolutely.
Yeah, congrats. And I was a slow adopter. I had someone in my life that would like really kind of preach. It sounded somewhat crazy, but like kudos to the people that were early believers in this stuff and kind of weathered
Yeah.
all the uncertainty, the fear and the doubt, and have gotten to this point. So it's great to watch. It's exciting to watch. And then, again, I have to kind of give a word of caution, like, hey, trap some value. Don't go all in all the time. It's okay to be
Yeah.
wise with it,
Yeah.
and to be prudent. So,
100%. 100%. So, all right, cool. Well, hey, we're at 11 now. We probably should jump off for today, but
yep,
look forward to being back here in a couple of weeks and having more to talk about. I feel like this right now, this March is a lot of economic stuff's gonna start to take shape. I think for the rest of the year, to see like where the year is gonna go. So I'm excited to see this next few weeks. But yeah, hopefully we'll have some good stuff a couple of weeks to talk about. And thank you all for being here and
absolutely.
listening
And
to
please
us.
let us know if there's anything
Yeah.
that you guys would like us to discuss. We'd love to read research and kind of present to you as best as we can, kind of a well-rounded approach on some stuff. And so if there's a topic, if there's something, whether it's in real estate, outside of real estate, we'd love to hear what like you'd like to hear about, and we'll do the work of researching it and whatnot, and coming up with something round and balanced to say. So thank you. And then everyone have a great weekend.
Yep. All right, Dave. See you later.
All right. Talk to you soon.